Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. Today we are going to do one of my favorite things to do when it comes to video games, and that is predicting. Predicting what is going to happen in 2024 regarding video games. Now before that, why don't we talk about last year's prediction, which actually was my first video on this channel, which was predicting video games in 2023. Now let's look over these predictions and see which ones I got right or wrong. So the first prediction I made last year was that Tears of the Kingdom will be released on the planned date, May 12th, 2023. So that game had been delayed. It was supposed to come out in 2022 originally, but they needed more time, which is good because that game is absolutely amazing and they needed to take all the time they need to create that. It came out for sure in 2023 and it was awesome. The other prediction I made was that there will be no new Nintendo Switch. That was an obvious one. I feel like 2023 was still too early to release the next Nintendo console. I will be talking about the Nintendo Switch in this video, so stay tuned for that. I said that AAA titles will no longer be developed for the 8th generation, and I kind of got that right because some major games were released for past gen consoles and others weren't, and that's just going to continue on to 2024. I feel like that's a little bit of a weird prediction to make, so I'll say like that's a neutral on whether I got that right or not. I said Starfield will have a polarizing reception. Yep, and I think the interesting thing about this is that Starfield's reputation is getting lower as time goes. It's not really like getting any better. So I would say I got that right. The other one is Forspoken will be disappointing. Yeah. Final Fantasy 16 will be insane. I mean, basically, the game did very well, it sold very well, it's still talked about, and they're going to put it on PC, and it's just going to continue to do very well. And it is going to be a very memorable Final Fantasy game. I have not played it myself, but I am excited to play it at some point in 2024. Black Myth Wukong will be nominated for Game of the Year. If there is anything that 2023 taught us, it's that it is very hard to predict Game of the Year at the beginning. Many of us were very confident with a game like Tears of the Kingdom winning, but then Baldur's Gate 3 came through and won award after award. Plus, there's also the case of games being announced and released in the same year, like Super Mario Bros. Wonder. So, for this prediction, I'll play it much safer. In case you don't know, Black Myth Wukong is an action RPG rooted in Chinese mythology. Its story is based on Journey to the West, which is one of the 4 great classical novels of Chinese literature. You play as the Destined One, a character based on Sun Wukong. The game is visually stunning as they made the switch to Unreal Engine 5 and supports all of the great things of gaming tech, 4K, 60 FPS, ray tracing, and so on. When this game dropped their pre-alpha gameplay on August 2020, it went very viral. I mean, it literally does look next gen. Those who like Souls-likes would really appreciate this. I predict that this game will be a big deal and will be talked about a lot post-release, and it will be one of the 6 games to be nominated at the Game Awards. Switch 2 releases during the second half of the year. Rumors are everywhere, to a point where it doesn't even feel like a leak. It's just straight up going to happen, but a rumor should never be taken with 100% certainty. So here is the first prediction. All of that Switch Pro talk will not matter anymore, as there are huge rumors about the Switch getting a successor, and it is rumored to be releasing, not just revealed, releasing in this year. At first, this sounded crazy to me, but honestly, it's not impossible. It will be almost 7 years since the Switch has released, and I do definitely think that the Switch is showing its age, and it's time to move on to the next. And Nintendo does have games lined up for 2024, but what's stopping them from being cross-gen as well? From an October 2023 interview, the president of Nintendo has reiterated that Nintendo will focus on the Switch until the fiscal year's end in this March, and then continue to support it for the following year. Now, I would say not to think too hard about choices of words, but I think these different choices of words do imply something. Aside from that, dev kits have been out at several studios, and Switch sales are starting to slow down. Most rumors are agreeing on fall 2024 for this release date. Now, let's talk about games of the Switch 2. If the Switch 2 is released this year, I will also predict that every year it is asked, will they say anything about Metroid Prime 4? Ever since its development restart in 2019, whenever the question is brought up of whether or not it will be revealed, I always thought no. Except this time, because now it will have been 5 years since that restart, which seems long enough for a dev cycle of a large game. And with the reports of how Tears of the Kingdom is the last major Switch title, now Metroid Prime 4 will show itself with the Switch 2. I'm not going to expect gameplay to try and make this prediction easier, but I think now it's time for this game to be shown and have some form of a release date. one of the 3 untitled Star Wars games will be revealed. So to give you an update on these untitled Star Wars games, a strategy game by Respawn Entertainment, action-adventure game from Skydance New Media, and an FPS also by Respawn Entertainment. As you'd expect, there is a lot more in Star Wars in development other than these 3 with Outlaws this year, Knights of the Old Republic remake, Star Wars, Eclipse, and of course the 3rd Jedi game. But these untitled games have practically no information other than the fact that they may exist, and it's been almost 2 years since they were announced. It might be a stretch to say that we'll get an actual trailer with gameplay, but some sort of announcement is the prediction here. With Outlaws getting a lot of marketing this year, they could keep up the pace by announcing their next major Star Wars game. And here's the thing, we aren't going to hear from those other games with titles for a while for very specific reasons. So here's my overall prediction. While Star Wars Outlaws gets hyped up and prepared for its release in 2024, they will begin to announce what's next. I know that it's different companies behind these different games, but I think there is some form of coordination going on here with these releases. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League will be an expected disappointment. Remember Forspoken? Yeah, Suicide Squad will be this year's version of that. I mean, I'd love to be wrong, but there's just so much warranted criticism before its release. For starters, this game has been delayed multiple times. Usually a delay is understandable if they need more time to polish the game, but this is just not it. This game has been criticized for lacking variety despite its cast of characters, and just looking mediocre in general. Similar to how people felt about Gotham Knights, and that didn't really end up doing well reception-wise. The live service aspect is when things really start to get heated, with needing to have an internet connection in order to play the game, even if you are just playing alone. Like, what is the point of that? Then there is the whole shop concept of microtransactions and all of that. This isn't like their other successful Arkham games at all. I will say though, they are emphasizing more important elements than their live service. At the end of the day, this is a prediction that I would love to get wrong. I'd hate for the game to be bad since it is a cool idea, especially since this will be Kevin Conroy's last role as Batman. It would be so dishonorable for this game to be a disaster that could have been prevented. And that will be it for this video. So it's kind of hard to predict what 2024 is going to be like, especially after how bizarre this year was with how packed 2023 was with games, but I feel like there is some room for predicting what may or may not happen in 2024, and I still think it's going to be a great year for games, as far as the games go. So let me know what your predictions are, like and subscribe for more like this, and I'll see you next time.